Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our Saturday practice. We'll be spending the next hour and a half together, and we alternate from week to week for those of you who are new here. And this week we are practicing breath, the art of breathing, and it's one of the 8 limbs of yoga. Typically, when we practice yoga, we practice only what's called asana, which is the practice, the mindfulness of the body. Here we're going to be doing the mindfulness of the breath, especially what the Westerners are now called abdominal breathing, deep breathing. And but that's not really exactly what we practice. What we're really practicing is how to use a diaphragm to breathe, as opposed to using a muscle or even in a nose, right? And this is in fact the way that we used to breathe when we were first born. When we were first born, we didn't have any muscle. We were probably one of the only animal in the animal kingdom, one of the only species in the animal kingdom that doesn't have muscle, not underdeveloped muscle when we were born. So we had no other muscle except the diaphragm. And the diaphragm is actually what we use when we're inside the mother's womb to transport the nutrients from a mother to our own developing being. And so in a way, we're going back to the beginning, what we call the beginner's mind. And so very often in the West, we think of that as just breathing air, right? In fact, breathing air is chi, but it's written as air and rise, which means it's a nutrient that is coming into a body. Another way of expressing chi is that it's the life energy between heaven and earth that happens to pass through us. And in that sense, it's not just breathing with the diaphragm, it's actually exciting or inducing the energy flow in our entire body. And so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to loosen up the joints. And because the energy flows, what we've been calling the 12 meridians. And it just happens that that's the way that the Chinese interpret what is called the nadi, the life energy, as it was explained by the yogis in the North India. But in our case, since our understanding of the of the comic, we just abstract it into the energy flow according to the sun. And so in this case, it's 12 meridians, each one active in 2 hours, for 2 hours. And so we're going to be doing some joint exercise on the upper body. It would be the wrist, the elbow, the shoulder, and in the lower part of the body, their counterparts would be the heel, the knee, and the hip. All right. Now, keep in mind that we're actually practicing yoga, or what is called yuj, Y-U-J, or yuja. And in that case, it's important to understand that the true meaning of the word yoga is mind, body together. Synchronize the mind and the body. So let's focus our mind on the lower part of our spine. Let's move up the spine one joint at a time. As we do that, I want you to stretch the spine towards the ceiling, towards heaven. Stretch it as hard as you can. Then I want you to lift up that shoulder, open that shoulder, and then lean back the upper torso. Relax the shoulder, relax the spine. Now I want you to focus on the center of your palm. I want you to bring your hands up without leaving the center of your palm. Now I want you to focus on your wrists, and I want you to turn your wrists very slowly, very mindfully, one turn at a time. Recognize that each turn has the beginning and an end. And in the beginning, I want you to develop this habit of asking yourself, where is my mind? Where am I focusing my mind? Because our mind can only do one thing at a time. There's no such thing as multitasking. So as you rotate in the beginning, develop this new habit of focusing your mind on your body, on your wrists. As you turn, I want you to examine the change in your body. And then when you get to the end, I want you to ask yourself, I want to do it one more time. This is what we call diligence. one turn at a time, very slowly, very mindfully. Now I want you to turn back the other way again, one turn at a time, understanding that there is a beginning. And in the beginning, this is where we exercise determination. We're determined to follow through from the beginning to the end. And at the end, this is where we practice um, um, what I just called I just forgot what I just called it. Doesn't matter. I'm so focused in what I'm doing now, I'm not using my brain. Now bring it back and then bring it back with your mind. Now I want you to once again do this in 3 steps. First step, lift up your spine, stretch your spine towards the ceiling, lift up your shoulder. And then second step is when you lean back, open the shoulder, and then finally relax the shoulder, relax the spine. Back in focusing on the center of your palm again, bring up your hand. And now we're moving from the wrist to the elbow. Once again, turn your elbow. And in the beginning, when we practice determination, one turn at a time, focusing on your body, focusing on your elbow. Examine the change in your elbow. One turn at a time. See if there's any heat, any sweat, any numbness, any pain, any kind of feeling. Now I want you to turn it the other way. One turn at a time, one turn at a time, one turn at a time. And now I want you to lower your hand back to the sitting position. Number 1, stretch your spine, lift up your shoulder. Number 2, lean back, open your shoulder. Number 3, relax your shoulder, relax your spine. Now we're going from the wrist to the elbow to the shoulder. Once again, focus on the center of your palm. Bring up your hand, cross your hand this time. Follow the center of your palm in front of you, on top of you. Now I want you to stretch your spine as hard as you can. Stretch it as hard as you can. I want you to focus on the center of your palm. Open your palm. Point your palm outward. See that pain in your shoulder. Let go of the pain. Focus on the center of your palm again. Bring it back up. Slowly. Stretch as hard as you can. And then bring it back down with the palm facing out. Open that shoulder. Feel the pain on your shoulder. Let go of the pain. Back to the center of your palm again. Stretch. Open. Feel the pain on your shoulder. Let go of that pain. One more time. Focus on the center of your palm. Bring it up. Open. And then relax. Now we're going to turn the other way. Open first. Bring it up. Stretch. Bring it back down. Open first. Bring it up. And then bring it back down. Open first, one at a time. Stretch, and then bring it back down. Now I want you to go from front to back, but once again, back to the body, back to the upper torso. I want you to stretch your spine towards the ceiling. I want you to lift up your shoulder. Now I want you to open that shoulder, lean back to upper torso, then relax the shoulder, relax the spine. We're doing front to back. So focus on the center of your palm. Bring up your hand. Follow the center of your palm. Don't let it go. All the way to the top of the head. Now get ready. Open the shoulder. Feel the pain on your shoulder. Let go of the pain. Focus on the center of your palm again. What's been done is done. Let it go. Let go the past. Let go the past. Whatever pain that was in the past, just let it go. Let it go. Focus on the center of your palm now. Open the shoulder. Feel the pain. Let go of the pain. Back again. Open the shoulder. Feel the pain. Let go of the pain. And then sit up straight. Now we're going to go from back to front very slowly. Follow the center of the palm. Stretch. Bring it back down. All the way back. Bring it up. Stretch. And then bring it back down. All the way back. Stretch. And then bring it back down. Follow the center of your palm. All right. Now we actually were doing meditation. It's just that we were doing mindfulness in motion. Right? Meditation doesn't mean sitting. Meditation can be done in any posture. It can be done in sitting, standing, lying down, and walking, as well as exercising. The key is to anchor your mind. And when we were moving, whether we were walking or exercising, we anchor our mind on the body. And when we're not moving, stationary, whether we're standing, sitting, or lying down, we anchor on a breath. So I want you to now go back to your body, stretch your spine, lift up your shoulder. That's number one. Lean back, open your shoulder. That's number two. And then relax your shoulder, relax your spine. Now I want you to focus on your breath. Start with knowing. I know that I'm breathing in. I know that I'm breathing out, one breath at a time. Now, when you first do this, you feel that your breath is very rushed. That's because you were in excited mode. You were in exercise. It would be as you're running away from a tiger. The body doesn't know any difference. The body thought that you were in danger. And so you were in fight or flight. And when you're in fight or flight, the body generates stress hormone as a signal. It tells the entire body to get ready and to get out from that danger. And so your breath is very rushed, among other things. And so what we want to do now is bring your body back to the rest and digest. And the best way to do that is to focus on your breath. The breath is, in fact, the bridge between your body and your mind. So the easiest way to bring your entire body, entire being from the stress state to the relaxed state, from the fight or flight to the rest and digest, is just to focus on your breath. Start with knowing. And so as you meditate on your breath, one breath at a time, you notice that your breath slows down, which means that your mind is also slows down. One breath at a time. All right. Okay. So you notice that in this practice, we always alternate. We alternate between the sympathetic mode, the fight or flight, and then we alternate that into the parasympathetic mode, the uh, rest and digest, and thereby explaining the problem that we have these days in modern living, that we're not really maintaining the harmony anymore between the two states. We tend to be stuck on the stress mode. And when you're stuck on the stress mode, your body generates stress hormone, right? Because it's a signal. But the stress hormone also does something else, which is to reduce the body's inflammation when you were in danger. And the idea is that after you survive the danger, you're supposed to come back and restore the sensitivity to the stress hormone. But if you don't come back, then you overload yourself, and all of a sudden, over time, you lose the sensitivity to your own steroid, to your own stress hormone. And so, in short, you lost the ability to self-heal. And all of disease that we can think about, they are just symptoms of inflammation. And these days, we spend a lot of time worrying about dementia, people like me, right? And another 10 years, when I get to be 80, and I look around, this is the old joke, right? So in your theater, if you look around, there's a guy over here, and then you look around, there's another guy over here. And if the three of you are in your 80s, either he is suffering from dementia, or she is suffering dementia, or you are suffering from dementia. It's 1 hour 3. It's very scary. And there's increasing understanding that dementia is just inflammation of the brain. So turns out that abdominal breathing, or more precisely, breathing with the diaphragm, reduce inflammation by maintaining that harmony, so you can self-heal, right? All right, so we're gonna do 3 more exercises. First 2 are more energetic, and then finally we're gonna do a restorative exercise to get ready for sitting meditation. So the first one is still more joint exercise, particularly focusing on the shoulder, but also bring in the difference between the left brain and the right brain. Not so much the difference, the separation. So stretch your spine, lift up your shoulder, open your shoulder, lean back, relax. All right, now this is very important. Just remember 1, 2, 3. Whenever you feel that you're under stretch, first thing you're going to do is remember the 1, 2, 3. Lift up your spine, lift up your shoulder. That's 1. Lean back your spine, open your shoulder. That's 2. And then completely relax your shoulder, relax your spine, right? After you do that, focus on your breath. I know I'm breathing in. I know I'm breathing out. And that's all you have to do. Turns out that that's all you have to do to relax, right? So you can ride through the storm. That's why I call it anchoring. And when you're in the middle of the storm, the first thing you need to do is to anchor your boat. If you can anchor your boat, you can ride through the storm. All right, first exercise, actually all 3 are part of the Shaolin practice. The first one is what we call double blade. Imagine the hands as the blade, and in the old days, we often have 2 swords put together, like very thin, like their leaves. We put it together, and in the fighting, they will open it, and then all of a sudden they have 2 blades instead of 1, right? So this is like what we call the double blade. The coordination between the 2 hands, the coordination between the left brain and the right brain. So again, stretch, lift up, lean back, relax. Left hand in front, right hand stretch out. Focus on the right hand, use the left brain. Bring the hand around in a nice, big, smooth circle. Now open that shoulder. Feel the pain on your shoulder. Accept that pain, and then let go of the pain by switching from the left brain to the right brain. And now we're focusing on the left hand. Whatever happens on the right shoulder is gone. Don't focus on that. Let it go. Focus on the left hand. Bring it around slowly, mindfully. And then open that shoulder. Feel the pain on your shoulder. Accept that pain. And then let go of the pain. Switching from the right side to the left side. Focusing now on the right hand using the left brain. Switch it around. Feel it, accept it, and then let it go. Focus on the left. Get it around. Feel it, accept it, and then let it go. Back to the right. 2 more times. Open it, feel it, accept it, and then let it go. One last time. All the way around. Feel it, accept it, and then let it go. Back to the breath. I know I'm breathing in. I can feel my in-breath. I can feel my body reacting when I breathe in. I know I'm breathing out. I can feel my body reacting when I'm breathing out. One breath at a time. One breath at a time. Now, when you observe your breath, it's the same way as if you were observing the rotation of your wrist or your elbow or your shoulder, which is that you identify the beginning and you identify the end. The beginning is when you breathe in. That's when you say, I'm determined to follow through, observing my breath from the in to the out, from the beginning to the end. And when you get to the end, that's when you practice diligence and you say to yourself, I'm not going back. I'm going to be making progress, which means that I'm focusing on my breath again, one breath at a time. Now we're going to do the second exercise, which again is very energetic. And it's, again, a Shaolin practice called throwing the fist. So you can imagine that these exercise has a lot to do with, it's similar to martial art, right? All right, so lift up your shoulder, lift up your spine, lean back, open your shoulder, relax your shoulder, relax your spine. Bring up your right hand. Focus on the center palm, make a nice fist. Get ready. Go. 1, feel the vibration, be mindful. Feel the vibration. 2, come back, sit up straight. Down, sit up straight. Down, back to up and up and sit up straight. Down and down. One last time. Up and down and down. Open your shoulder, focusing on both hands. 1, feel the vibration, come back. 2, come back. 3, come back. 4, back. And 5. And as soon as you're done with the energetic exercise, come back to the restorative, come back to your breath, come back to the parasympathetic, and feel your breath. I know I'm breathing in. And I know I'm breathing out, one breath at a time. Slow down your breathing, slow down your mind. Tell your body that you're completely out of danger now. And one of the things that you need to practice on is also uh, be mindful of your mouth, inside your mouth. See if there's any dry saliva inside your mouth. Because when you are in the fight or flight, the first thing it does, right, as soon as you receive the stress hormone signal, it turns off your saliva gland. It turns off your saliva gland because the saliva is the signal for digestion, immunity, and reproduction. None of that you need when you're being chased by a tiger. So it turns it off. And that's why most these days people have to drink a lot of water because their mouth is always dry. I have nothing against hydration. I just feel that self-hydration is a much better way to ensure our health. So I want to be sure that I bring myself back to the rest and digest. And one thing that I know that I'm in rest and digest is I can feel the saliva inside my mouth. Okay, now the Chinese for thousands of years, they call the saliva the J letter, the J letter. In fact, the name of energy point right behind, in between the teeth and the roof of your mouth, the J letter energy point. And all right, so we're gonna, when we practice meditation, that's one of the things that we're gonna do is to focus, make sure that we have plenty of saliva. Right. So you notice that it's almost half an hour now, right? Almost half an hour. I haven't stopped talking, and I haven't stopped swallowing my saliva because I was mindful, right? I was mindful whether I was moving, or whether I was sitting. All right, so we're going to do the last exercise, which in modern perspective is about um, energizing the vagus nerve, which actually starts at the bottom of the ear, goes all the way down, and then inside, connecting with the diaphragm. So this exercise is quite involved. Now we're going to be learning how to do deep breathing, abdominal breathing using the diaphragm, right? So most of the people who talk about the importance of abdominal breathing, they talk about the benefit. The benefits, like it actually can restore the quality of your sleep. It can lower your blood pressure. There's even scientific study that says that it can reduce your chance of having dementia. It can actually also cure any skin disease, even because that's actually a autoimmunity problem. It has a lot of benefit, but they don't actually teach you how to do deep breathing properly. Most of the time they just ask you to suck in the air and breathe deeper, right? And that actually doesn't work. The reasons that you don't use you cannot do abdominal breathing anymore the same way that you used to do when you were a child is because you develop stress. You're reacting to the outside world, right? So you develop stress, and the diaphragm is a very peculiar material called what we used to call in engineering viscoelastic, which means that it's elastic, but its elasticity is dependent on rate. So the more stressful you are, the tighter they get. And so over time, you just say, forget it. I'm not breathing with this anymore because I can't. And so you start to use the other part of your body to breathe because the lung has no muscle, right? And so the only way that you can do abdominal breathing is to go back to the diaphragm, not using this muscle more by sucking in more air. And the only way that you can use the diaphragm is to relax, right? All right, so this last exercise is to help us relax by activating the vagus nerve. Now you can buy lots of fancy tools, fancy toys. They can strap something behind the ear, excite the vagus nerve. There's so many things that we can do, but they all cost money. Here we don't charge anything. It's just everything you do here is by yourself, right? Because when God created us, she had everything in mind. She gave us a perfect solution. You are the answer to your own problem. Okay? All right, now this exercise is very simple, and you can divide it into 4 parts. The first part, after you open your shoulder and lean back and relax, is you put your thumb in front of your shoulder, you roll up your 4 fingers, and then you lift up your shoulder as hard as you can, as if you're bringing your shoulder to your ears. And then you bring your elbow back, following the elbow, and you open your shoulder as far back as you can, as if you're squeezing a tennis ball in the back. The third one is when you drop your elbow and you relax. And then finally, you point your elbow forward, you look down at the floor. Now you're going to lift up, looking in towards the front. You're going to open, looking slightly to the ceiling. And then you're going to look into the front again, and then eventually look down. As you bring your elbow up, I want you to breathe in, very relaxed, all the way in, all the way to the back. And then as you drop your shoulder, I want you to breathe out. Now, the key here is to be very relaxed. Breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, lift up your upper body, open your shoulder, and then breathe out. Drop your shoulder, elbow, relax. Breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out. In, out. We're going to do this 2 more times. Breathe in, breathe out. One last time. In, and out. Drop your hand. Okay, now remember now. Abdominal breathing requires that you relax. It requires that you relax such that your diaphragm doesn't fight back. All right? Now, there are 2 reasons why you're so stressful all the time. One is that you cannot concentrate. Your mind is racing from here to there, trying to do this, trying to do that, right? These days, we think multitasking is a virtue. It is not. It is a source of all your problem. That's why in Japan, they're still practicing the Zen culture. They think that it's the Japanese culture. It's not. It's Zen culture. And they're very focused. Everything that they do is monotask, very focused, right? You could go and buy a small gift to bring back home. They will wrap it, right? You go to the restaurant to serve you food. They're very mindful in everything they do. Because when Zen culture was brought to them, what used to be called Chan culture, when it was brought to Japan, it pronounced differently, so it's called the Zen culture. The first thing is mindfulness, one thing at a time. So if you don't learn to be mindful, right, you don't know how to anchor your mind. That's the source of your stress. The second reason for source of stress is expectation. You have an expectation of yourself. You have an expectation of other people on you. You always worry about what I'm supposed to do, what I'm supposed to do, how am I supposed to work. So if you put away that expectation and you don't say, am I practicing this right? Danny does that. Why can't I do that? That's a source of stress, right? So when I ask you to come here and be relaxed, asking you to relax is a source of stress because you have expectation. Let go of the expectation. Let go of the expectation. All right. Now, we're going to learn to meditate while we're sitting. So, the four postures are called sitting, standing, lying down, and walking. Walking includes exercise. We're the only species in the entire animal kingdom that knows to do how all four. And we associate each of the posture with an element. Sitting is the earth element, standing is the fire element, lying down is the water element, and walking and exercising is the wind element. Earth element means that we don't use muscle. Fire element means that we use only the muscle. Earth element means that we use neither. We just like flow in the water. Okay. So you need to examine your body and try not to use any muscle. So when you sit like the bell. And your legs are like the pedestal. So if you sit on the chair, which many of you do, and I don't have any problem with that, I recommend that. You want to make sure that the height of your chair is such that the bottom of your feet is right below your knee and it's not hanging in midair. And you sit on the chair, you have a back. Try not to lean to the back. And if you need support, put a pillow right in the middle of the spine, because I don't want you to use any muscle. I want you to examine your hand and don't lift it up, just rest it, relax. If you raise it, you're using muscle. Finally, you get to the spine. I want you to stretch your spine upward, lean back, relax. I want you to lift up your shoulder, open the shoulder, and then relax. I want you to focus on your forehead and in between your eyebrow and realize how much stress you accumulate on that part of the body. I want you to relax. I want you to lean back the forehead so that the ears on top of the shoulder, the weight of the head is on top of your spine. And then I want you to tuck in your chin slightly so the top of the head, this energy point that we call 100 meat, where all the yang energy comes together, is on top of the spine. Now I want you to focus on your eyelid. Close your eye, but relax your eyelid. Imagine how it was when we were a baby. When we were a baby, we sleep. We close our eye because we relax the eyelid. We don't shut it. You can actually see the eyeball a little bit. And at first we thought that they were pretending. They're not pretending. They're relaxing. It's when they shut the eye that they're pretending. So when you relax your eyelid, you can actually see some light coming through the eyelashes. And finally, I want you to take the tip of the tongue and put it behind the teeth, right where the teeth meets the roof of your mouth, or close your mouth. Feel the inside of your mouth. Feel the saliva, what we call the J lacter. And just relax. Now I want you to come back to your breath and be mindful of your breath. Start with knowing. I know I'm breathing in. I know I'm breathing out. One breath at a time. One breath at a time. Now I want you to go from knowing to anchoring. I want you to anchor your mind on your belly button. And as soon as you know that you're breathing in, I want you to move the belly button forward. Now, mind that we want to be relaxed, right? I don't want you to be fighting with yourself. So if you're not relaxed, your diaphragm is very stiff. It doesn't matter what you do. The more you do it, the worse it gets. So you need to be relaxed. And remember now, relax requires monotesting. Focus on one thing at a time. Don't be thinking about something else. Don't be thinking about what happened before you start to go to class. Don't be thinking about what happened yesterday or the day before. Focus on the now. Don't be thinking about the future. What hasn't happened is none of your business. So focusing your mind on the present is the first step towards relaxation. The second step is no expectation. Don't try to think that there's a right way or a wrong way. There's only your way. So just focus, relax, and when you breathe in, move the belly button forward. When you breathe out, move the belly button back. No expectation. Just move the belly button forward and move the belly button back. And at first, the body doesn't follow, which is okay. It's okay. Over time, the body will follow. And when you move the belly button forward, it will follow. It will open the stomach, pull down the diaphragm. And when you move the belly button back, the stomach will follow. The stomach will collapse, pushing up the diaphragm. And that's all we're going to be doing now, one breath at a time. We can do this for 5 minutes today, okay? Just focus on your breath, relax, one thing at a time, anchor your mind on the belly button, nowhere else, just the present, no expectation. Don't be looking at me, okay? Don't be looking at anybody else. It's just you now. One breath at a time. Again, there's a beginning and an end. When you know that you're breathing in, that's the beginning. That's when you practice determination. You're just asking yourself, okay, I'm going to be following this breath from the beginning to the end, nothing else. I'm determined to do this. And when you get to the end, that's when you practice diligence. That's when you said, if I could make progress, that would be great. But at least I don't do regression. I don't go back. I'm going to be doing the next breath as well as I do the first breath, one at a time. You're not alone. We're all in this together, one breath at a time. Okay. All right, we'll continue. Now, this first exercise is just to learn to move your stomach when you breathe. Move it out when you breathe in, move it back when you breathe in, breathe out. So obviously this has a lot of health benefit because it increases your lung capacity. When you breathe in, it brings down the diaphragm, open up the lung, getting more oxygen in your body. And when you breathe out, you lift up your diaphragm, you push up all the stale air in the bottom of your lung so they don't accumulate water. Once the lung accumulate water, it's not reversible. So this is very important. But it also has something else, which is it just forms a foundation of what we call the qi. Now, once again, the qi doesn't mean breath. The qi actually means life energy. And the easy ways to understand the life energy as the Chinese interpret it is like farming, right? To be successful in farming, you have to have sunlight. That's the fire element. You have to have mineral, right? The soil has to be fertile. So that's the mineral element. You have to have water. And then finally, you have to have soil. And that's once you have all that, then you have vegetation. So this is how the Chinese interpret life energy in you, in all those five elements. And they associate them with the organs. The fire is the heart. The mineral is the lung. The soil is the liver. And I'm sorry. The soil is the splint, and the vegetation is the liver. And finally, the kidney is the water. So you can imagine that the water is in fact the beginning of life. If there's no water, there's no life. When we look for beings in the universe, we look for water, at least for our form of life. So basically, abdominal breathing is about cultivating the life force, cultivating the kidney energy, the water energy. And so the next step is about activating the chi, activating the life energy after you cultivate it in your lower abdomen, what we call the dantian, the fuel fire. So now I want you to relax, just focus on your breath. I know I'm breathing in. You can actually feel the movement of your stomach. And when you breathe in, the stomach opens slightly. And when you breathe out, the stomach collapses slightly. Maintain that feeling. Now, there's one more thing I want to show you today, which is the proper way of practicing the Taoist longevity breathing exercise. I want you to once again come back to the spine, stretch the spine. But before you lean back, I want you to lean forward. And then I want you to lean back now, but leaning back without moving the hip. So the hip remains forward and the upper spine, upper body is leaning back. So you feel a little bit of pressure on the lower back where the kidneys are. And then open the shoulder, relax the shoulder. Okay, so that's the proper way to sit, is to turn the hip forward and lean back the torso. Feel the stress in here because we're activating the kidney energy. Now, the essence of the kidney is the marrow, is the bone marrow. The bone marrow is cultivated in the spine. And then finally, the brain is part of that. It's actually called the sea of marrow. So I want you to start at the lower part of your spine. Actually, is in between the kidneys, right? So we are now. I'm going to be talking about the 4 energy points. You have 2 energy points on the left and the right on your lower back, where the kidneys are. One is yin and one is yang. Yin means absence of the sun. Yang means the presence of the sun. In between, there's an energy point here called the gate of life. In front, where the belly buttons are, if you go down one finger, there's um, an energy point there. Okay, so now when you breathe in, the stomach opens, that energy point is being pushed to the front. And when you breathe out, the stomach goes back and it's bringing that energy point to the back, in between the kidneys. I want you to start here in the back, in the middle. As you breathe in, you feel your stomach open slightly. I want you to go from the bottom of your spine up the spine. I want you to stretch your spine until you get to the very top of your head. As you breathe out, I want you to lean back, come from the top of the head to the forehead, to the bridge of your nose, through your tongue. The tongue is actually part of the electrical circuit. And then come down towards the belly button as you lean back and relax. When you breathe in, you move from the lower back, you stretch the spine towards the ceiling, you go all the way to the top of your head. As you breathe out, you lean back, you relax, you come from the top of the head all the way down to the belly button. Let's sit for 5 minutes, cycling the chi between the two primary channels. The one in the back, the spine, is what we call the governing channel. That's where all the yang energy comes. It's yang because it's facing the sun. And then when you come down, I believe it's called the incubation, or at least that's what I call it, channel. And you relax. One breath at a time. No wonder the scientists, the Western scientists, discovered that this deep breathing technique, this abdominal breathing technique, this technique of using a diaphragm actually reduce your chance of having dementia. And even you do have dementia, it actually slightly reverse it. Slowly, I mean, reverse it. And it's because the Chinese know that thousands of years ago, that the brain is part of the spine, and when you cycle the energy through the spine to the brain, you reduce inflammation, thereby reducing one of the important symptoms, one of the catastrophic symptoms of inflammation, which is dementia. Okay, open your eyes. We're going to continue to do more exercise before we get down to the floor to do the breathing, okay? And before I do that, I want you to know that there's no such thing as truth. Truth. There's no such thing. There's only the approximation of truth. Now, many of my friends who are religious, whether they're Protestant, Catholic, or Buddhist, they think that there's the truth. The truth is in the book. Even the Buddhist thinks that. Right? The truth is in the book. It's in the wording. There's no such thing. There is no truth. There's only the approximation of truth. The Eastern scientists, whether the Chinese or the Indians, have a different way of approaching the approximation of truth. They do it by experience. They believe that their body and the mind is the best instrument. And so the first thing they do is they're clarifying the body and clarifying the mind, spiritualizing the body and spiritual the mind. And they use a very, very elevated state of mind to examine the body. And they can actually see this energy inside of us. So they're approaching science as an experiential science, and then they pass it on experience, one generation to the other, so that they can get closer and closer to the approximation of truth. The Western scientists basically do the same thing. They also are interested in the approximation of truth. If there is a truth, there's no scientist, because one scientist is enough, right? If Newton, if Galileo had the truth, there's no reason for Newton. If Newton had the truth, there's no reason for Einstein. If Einstein had the truth, there's no reason for Stephen Hawkins. Each generation is trying to get closer to the approximation of truth. But they do it. The Western scientists do it by experiment. Experiment requires instrumentation. So the pursuit of science in the Eastern world is the pursuit of the instrumentation. But instrumentation have limitation. First is the spatial limitation. Depending on what you're looking at, the smaller they are, the finer is the instrument, right? We go from the naked eye to a magnifier, to a microscope, to electron microscope, right? Getting finer and finer. It also requires that we reduce signal to noise. So we spend a lot of money in the instruments, lowering the temperature, blocking the signal from the outside, shielding us from the solar wind and all that. But with all that, they still have to deal with the last barrier, which is that the minute that they insert the instrument into the things they want to study, they change the reality again. But at least they have a way of approaching the truth one step at a time. And each time they approach, they overturn the last guy, right? So Galileo has a way of seeing the world. When Newton comes along, he overturn. And the same thing with Einstein, same thing with everybody else. They don't actually pass on the experience. They just keep moving forward. That's the difference. So here we're focusing on the Eastern approach to the truth, to the approximation of truth. But when possible, we validate it with the Western approach, the experimental approach of truth. Okay? All right. All that for the benefit of our health. Now, we're going to do more energetic exercise. And this one, we focus on the stretching. Stretching. Okay? Now, the stretching is not about the muscle. The stretching is really stretching. If you can imagine that the energy flow, right? Remember I talk about that. The energy flow is actually between the connective tissues, which is the first thing that the doctors throw away when they. It's kind of ironic when they start the medical education. they have to acquire a cadaver. Even they say that. He said, well, the first thing we do is we clean it up. We take all the connective tissue and throw it away because it just obscure our pursuit of the truth, of the approximation of truth. Because our truth is about the organs, right? Now they realize, oh, they're throwing away the most important communication channel in the body. So it's really the connective tissue. And so stretching is nowadays it's called fascia, right? They focus on fascia, myofascia. Fascia means connective tissue, nothing else. And so we're stretching these connective tissues, all right? Okay, so let's sit back, stretch our spine, lift up our shoulder, lean back, and relax. We're going to do 3 deep breaths, remind us of where we were. We're going to put our fingers together, put that in front of our belly button. We're going to follow the center of the palm as we breathe in, stretching the upper torso towards the ceiling. And then we're going to flip the hand, follow the center of the palm. We're going to breathe out until we lock our elbow. Now we're going to look straight again, opening arm, pointing the center of palm outward as if we're climbing a mountain. Back to breathing in, breathing out, looking straight ahead. Climb the mountain using our shoulder. One last time, breathing in, breathing out, looking straight ahead, climbing the mountain. Back to locking the fingers again, palm facing up, turn it, palm facing down. Push down your palm until you lock your elbow, looking straight ahead. Bring up your hand, pointing the center of your palm forward, pointing your center of palm all the way to the heaven. Okay, now I want you to push, stretch your spine as hard as you can. Then I want you to lean back, stretching the spine. Come back to the middle, push again as hard as you can. Now I want you to lean to the left, but it's all about stretching the spine. Come back, push again, lean to the right, stretch the spine. Come back to the middle, push again one last time to the left. Come back to the middle, push again as hard as you can to the right. And then come back to the middle. And then bring down your hand, following the center of your palm. And then open your shoulder, relax. Now take your right hand, put that on your left shoulder, lean back your forehead so you're putting stress on your right shoulder. Grab your right shoulder with your left hand, sit up straight, and then take the spine and stretch it to the left. Come back, changing hand, looking straight ahead, and then stretch your spine to the right, and then come back to the breathing. I know I'm breathing in. Bring your body back to the rest and digest, one breath at a time. Now sit up straight again, open the shoulder, lean back, relax. Left hand pointing up, right hand, put that between your fingers and your palm. You bring down your left hand, you push out the shoulder, elbow. Looking straight ahead, you bring up your hand, locking your elbow, palm facing forward. Sit up straight without turning your upper torso, locking your left elbow. Bring your left hand to the right. Bring it back and then relax. Sit up straight, right palm facing up, left hand, bring it down, locking your elbow, looking straight ahead, bring up your hand, sit up straight without turning your upper torso, bring your right arm to the left. Bring it back and then relax back to your breath, one breath at a time. And then now lift up your shoulder, open your shoulder, relax. Right palm facing up, left palm facing down. Open that shoulder as if the heaven has fallen down onto your right palm. You push, lock your elbow. As if the earth has come up, you push, lock your elbow. You take your right arm, you lean back, you take your head, you turn that to the left until you get to the shoulder. You keep turning your eyeballs as if you're looking at your back. You bring back everything, you relax. Now the other side, open that shoulder, push, and then push. Okay, and then Left, back, head to the right, eyes to the back, turn everything back, and then relax. Okay? And then now we're going to stretch your spine. Spine is the primary channel for the yang energy. We're going to lift up a shoulder, open the shoulder, lean back, and then relax. We're going to take the two hands, lock the fingers, put that on the lower back, palm facing up. Turn, palm facing down. Push until you lock your elbow. Focus on top of your head and the center of your palm at the same time. Okay? Stretch so that you stretching so that the head is towards the ceiling and your palm of your hand is towards the floor. And then relax. Lean back the forehead, lift up your arm, lift up your palm, and then relax. Back to the sitting position, focusing on your breath. Lift up your shoulder, open your shoulder, lean back and relax. Now take your right hand, put that on your back, look straight ahead, take your right shoulder and stretch, and then relax. Take your left shoulder, stretch, and then relax. Take your right hand, put that on your low back, fingers pointing to the left shoulder, stretch your shoulder down, pointing your fingers up, and then relax. Do the same thing on the other side. Okay, lower your left shoulder and then bring up your fingers. Now, two hands touching, looking straight ahead, right shoulder up, left shoulder down, and then relax. The other side. Okay, get ready. Left shoulder up, right shoulder down, and then relax. Back to the breath, one breath at a time. Now, sit up straight, open your shoulder, relax. Two hands, palm touching each other, fingers touching each other, fingers pointing down, fingers pointing up, bring it up, palm touching each other, sit up straight, open the shoulder, push your palm forward, one back, one forward. And then relax, back to the breathing. Okay, all right. So Heidi has a very interesting comment. She said, as a nurse, when taking an anatomic class studying cadavers, I found it fascinating how all the interconnections of tissues connects to the places that are movable, to solid structures like the bone. It's very interesting. A lot of place for us to explore, right? A lot of things that we need to explore. I remember yesterday, my wife and I are watching, and she said, and I point to, I forgot what it was that they were, but we were pointing to the sky, and this is like in the mountains, and they see these stars, and she said, "What is that?" I said, "Those are the stars." I said, "When your son and I travel, whether we were in um, uh, uh, Kilimanjaro or wherever we were, we used to travel all the time. It was amazing. It was amazing how much star we see, right? They're all everywhere, and this is the only time you realize how small we are. There's so much to explore, so much to explore. Similarly, in a body, we know so little about a body. There's so much to explore, right? And then she also said before that, it's just when I was talking about the harmony, the balance between the Eastern way of understanding health and versus the Western way of understanding health. She said something like, Danny, I feel a movement. I know exactly what the movement is. I know exactly what the movement is harmony. The movement is harmony. Harmony is the only way to solve all our problems. If you want to solve your health problem, focus on the harmony. Focus on the harmony between the yin and the yang, understanding that. If you want to be peaceful with your neighbor, focus on the harmony. Right? That's again the difference between the Eastern approach to the Western approach of being. One is focused on harmony, and the other one is focused on confrontation. We need to find a way of developing harmony in a various way of looking at our politics. There cannot be the Democrats confronting the Republicans. You need to find a language. a common language. Okay, so we're going to do more exercise now. And before we do the breathing exercise, we're going to finish with our joint exercise. So first the knee, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. The other way, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, and then now to the heel, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. The other way, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now to the left, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. The other way, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now to the toes. Okay, now we're going to stand on the toes. Now this turned out to be a very important exercise. It actually activates all the meridians in the bottom of your feet, starting with the kidney, starting with the liver, starting with the spleen, everything that is in the lower part. It's actually a way of relieving your back pain, because the back is actually the where the kidneys are. Okay, all right. So now the best way to do this is to focus your eyes towards the front. Don't take your eyes off the front and just stand on your feet. So stand on your toes. And then when you come down, you impact the heel. The heel is where the energy meridian that we name after the bladder. Okay, it's the yang side of the kidney. Second time, and then down. One last time, down. Now I want you to stand on your left. Now we do a lot of balancing exercise here. And the first sign of dementia is actually loss of balance. It's the loss of the separation between the left brain and the right brain. So I want you to stand on your left foot, lift up your right foot, looking straight ahead. And then I want you to kick your right foot with the heel. Get ready? 1, 2, and 3. Now stand on your left foot, right foot, lift up your left foot, balance first. 1, okay, 2, and 3. Okay, we don't have a whole lot of time left, so I'm going to start on the breathing exercise now, what we call the Pranayama, one of the 8 branches of yoga. I want you to focus on the center of your hand, bring it up, 1, bring it towards you, 2, bring it down, lower your knee, 3, and then stand back up, 4. As you bring up your hand, 1 and 2, I want you to breathe in gently, and then breathe out. Breathe in, and then breathe out. In, and then out. Now, I want you to cross your hand when you breathe in, and then I want you to breathe out without stopping, all the way out. And then breathe in, and then breathe out. This is important, okay? Now breathe in, and then without stopping, breathe out all the way to the end. Breathe in. This is the key of the exercise, is that you open your lung and you breathe out, forcing your diaphragm to lift up. Now I want you to go from exercise to standing meditation. We're going to spend 1 minute focusing entirely on the breath. Start with, I know that I'm breathing in. I know I'm breathing out. Okay, Now, the next one is called the balloon breathing. We put our right foot forward, we lean back, we're looking at the ceiling, we lift up the toes on the right foot, we lift up our arms, and then we're going to move forward, embracing yourself. And then we're going to move back, opening yourself to the world. As we embrace, we breathe in. As we open, we breathe out, and we don't stop. We breathe all the way out. And then we let our body breathe in gently by itself. Okay, don't try to breathe through your nose. Okay, breathe out. I mean, don't try to force. You breathe through your nose, but don't force it. Okay, breathe out. Don't try to suck air, is what I mean. Breathe in. Breathe out. One last time. Breathe in. And breathe out. Lower your hand. Go from the center of your palm to the center of the bottom of your feet. And then we focus on the breath, one breath at a time. Okay, now to the left. Breathe in, breathe out, all the way out. Relax, let your body breathe in by itself. And then breathe out, all the way out. In, out. Breathe in. Breathe out. One last time. Breathe in. And then breathe out. Lower your hand. Back to the standing. One breath at a time. Remember now that breathing is a cycle, right? There's a beginning and an end. When you breathe in, that's the beginning. That's when you need determination. And when you breathe out, that's the end of the cycle. That's when you need diligence so that you can continue one breath at a time. Okay. Now the third one is called the butterfly. So get ready. Lift up your hand, following your hand. Lower your hand, lower your knee, straight down. Lifting up your hand again. Raise your heel until very top, back of the hand touching. As you come down, breathe in. As you go up, breathe out, all the way out. And then gently breathe in, breathe out, in, out, in, out. One last time, breathe in, breathe out. Back to the standing. 1 minute. Okay. All right. So now it's what they call the push hand. So you just sit up straight. You imagine there's a wheel, there's a water wheel in front. You take your hand, you follow the center of the palm, you go to the front of the wheel, the top of the wheel, and then you go to the bottom of your wheel, you lower your body, you're looking straight ahead to the center of the wheel, and you push. As you come up, you breathe in, you open your shoulder all the way in, and then you breathe out. Now, remember what I said, the only way you can do this right is to be relaxed. And the only way that you can relax is try to do one thing at a time. Focus on the center of the palm of your hand and nowhere else. Okay? Monotask. The second thing you need to do to relax is no expectation. Don't try to figure it out if you do it right or wrong. There is no right or wrong. There's only doing it or not doing it. And just feel your body as you breathe in. Feel your body as you breathe out. Very slow, very mindful. And then breathe out. All right? Back to the standing. One breath at a time. Okay. Now to the left. Then breathe out. Try not to use your thinking mind. Try not to use your brain and just feel the movement of your hand, your body, how your wrist is coordinating with your heel, your elbow with your knee, and your shoulder with your hip. Feel the air running through your fingers. Feel the air that you're breathing in all the way down. And then feel how you're breathing out. One breath at a time. One movement at a time. One last time. Breathe in. And then breathe out. Now back to the standing. Okay. Now, the one last one is called the up and down breathing. Right. It's mainly to relieve the fatigue on your kidney. And so a lot of you suffer from lightheadedness when you move. This one will help. So, but if you already have lightheadedness, make sure you have a chair so you can grab onto it. Now, get ready. Breathe in. Now, open your knee. Breathe out all the way down, and then bend your back forward. And then you breathe in again, and then you bend your back backward, and then you relax. Second time, breathe out. Breathe in. And then relax. One last time, breathe out. And then breathe in. And then relax, right? One of the Western doctor famously said that I have only one test. I would always ask my patient to do this one thing, and I would know everything that I need to know about the state of his health and how much life they have left. And it was just about the patient standing up and sitting down from the chair, from the sitting position. Just the fact that they have lightheadedness or not, right? Tells the doctor everything he needs to know because that's an indirect measure of the fatigue on his kidney. Because when you move, you're changing the center of gravity. The body needs to react to that. And it reacts by sending the stress hormone into your body. So it can change, adjust to the change in gravity. And but if you're under stress all the time, you develop what's called adrenal fatigue, and then you would have, right? Okay, so we're going to spend 5 minutes meditating. Back to our meditation. When we breathe in, we stretch your body. And when we breathe out, we lean back and relax. I talk about how this way of doing meditation, this longevity technique that the Taoists practice, something called the microcosmic orbit, is to cycle the life energy. So as you do that, and you go from the bottom of your spine to the top of your head, you feel the energy rising in your spine. And then when you come back down to you relax. Now I want you to practice gratefulness, because where does that energy come from? Well, it starts with breathing in. And what exactly are you breathing in? You're breathing in oxygen. The oxygen goes from the lung to the heart, and then goes to all the other organs in your body, including the kidney. And so when you talk about rising of the kidney energy, the kidney essence, which is the marrow on the spine, it all comes from the oxygen. And where does the oxygen come from? It comes from the forest. And who are the guardian of the forest? All the other beings. All the other beings. So let's practice gratitude as we feel the energy rising in our spine. I want to be grateful to all the beings who are protecting the forest. And as we come down, we're exhaling. We're taking the waste product, which is carbon dioxide, and we're extracting it out from our body. And where does it go? It goes back to the forest. Go back to the forest and getting recycled. So I want you to practice gratitude as you rise on your spine. I want you to practice acceptance and forgiveness as you come down and relax. That is the beginning of your spiritual practice. We're in fact practicing another branch of the eight limbs of yoga. including practice of the body, the asana, practice of the breath, which is the pranayama. And now we're practicing our mind, focusing on what's called the kusala. Kusala is wholesomeness. The beginning of that is gratitude. What comes after gratitude is acceptance, forgiveness, especially of ourselves. It's time to accept who you are and give yourself some room. And let go of the guilt, the things that you thought that you didn't do correctly or didn't do enough. You did your best. It's time to forgive yourself. Let go of that. You can sit for 3 minutes, and then I'll try to answer the question that Heidi raised. Okay. Now, Heidi has another good question. She said, do you do any of these movements with sound or music when you are doing them alone? If so, any recommendations? I feel if I had rhythmic sounds to my movement, I might stay paced. Or do you suggest with no sounds? I like to do this in the morning, in any weathers. Okay. There's no right or wrong. There's only what's right for you and what's wrong for you. So you got to follow your what you need. Now, the beginning is to develop what we call mindfulness. And mindfulness in this case is not about using the brain. It's actually about just staying focused. It's just as that simple. The word mindfulness come from the word sate, which is a Pali word. It's the name of the prince. It's a princess. It's the name of a goddess. I can tell you the long story on that. The short story is that it's just remembering. Remembering. Always check to see if your mind was wandering or anchoring. So in the beginning, it's very difficult to do that. And sound helps you. Sound would help you. Just like um, the metronome would help you when you start learning uh, piano, right? But you're not going to practice in the city hall with the metronome. No one does that. It's just for you to practice. Now, ultimately, the idea of the spiritual practice is to let go of the intellect, which is the brain. To understand that intellect is not the entirety of your intelligence. A big part of your intelligence is actually in your spine. And so there's a difference between sensation and feeling. Sensation is just that. When I sense something, when the body touches an object, the signal travels in the neurological system and it goes only to the spine. And it's after it collects all the signal that it goes into your thinking mind, your brain. And so sensation is just that, just feel it without thinking it. Okay, now unfortunately there's a limitation in language, right? So all I'm talking about is just focusing on your intelligence, your body, just like I said, we understand so little about our existence, our being, right? And when you think about the Zen meditation, the Buddhist teaching, it's really just about letting go of your thinking mind. So as you practice mindfulness, you open up a new world. And when you get to the new world, the music might be a hindrance. So one of my favorite songs has a lyric, and I cannot do a direct translation, but it's something like this. A lifesaver can be an anchor. Sometimes you need a lifesaver to stay afloat. But eventually that could be an anchor. Anchor in the sense that it prevents you from moving the next step. Let your body tell you. Let your body tell you. In the beginning, music and the metronome, all that is very important. I've been practicing for 10 years now, and I cannot even describe how difficult it is to stay focused. I used to do sitting meditations, and I would find all kinds of ways to stay focused. It was so difficult, right? I would listen to music, I would listen to chanting, I would focus on images, I would even focus on the color, right? All of that was necessary for me to take the first step. And once you take the first step, you got to let go of the lifesavers. Otherwise, it becomes an anchor. So to answer your question, Heidi, is that there's no right way or wrong way. You do whatever it helps you. If it helps you to at least relax, focus, then that's the beginning. But to understand that of the ultimate of your spiritual path is to explore your, the rest of your intelligence. Okay. All right. So Nancy says, Heidi, I practice Tai Chi and Qigong locally, and these moves are like that. We always have music playing, helps focus. Yeah, yeah, you do that. But these days, I practice with nothing. I practice with nothing. I just focus on the breath. Okay, right? It's just a progression. And then Martha says, Heidi, different Qigong practices use various Taoist sounds. I practice Spring Forest Qigong, which has 5 sounds. Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. It's the same as for those who are Buddhists. Sometimes we chant Amitabha Buddha. Is that wrong? It's not wrong. It's whatever it takes. Right? Just 2 things. Calm your mind by focusing on one thing at a time. A wandering mind is a hindrance mind. So at least focus on one thing at a time. That is already the most difficult, right? After that, learn how to let go of the expectation, let go of the big brain. All right. And all right. Okay. So let us be blessed with health, with peace, and with happiness. Namaste. Okay. Now, today is the first day of November. We only have 2 months left. So I've been collecting all your donations, whether they are from Inside Timer or from a Patreon platform. And so every year at the end of the year, I would deliver all that in a lump sum to Venerable Hong, who, as you know, his lifetime work is to bring compassion and loving kindness to those who are incarcerated. We don't judge. We are not there to relieve them from their physical incarceration. We're there to relieve them from their spiritual incarceration. Try to bring some uh, kindness to those who have very little. Now, at the end of the year, once I do all the calculations, I would do my best to also match your donation dollar for dollar. Okay. Not only that, this is the first year that we actually allow to deduct donation from our tax again. Okay. There was a time when we couldn't do that because it was part of the standard donation. So no matter how much donation you make, unless it's a humongous amount, you don't get any tax advantage. But this is the first year that you get to um, deduct $2,500. I'm not saying that you send me to 25. I'm just saying that now you open up and say, hey, I want to donate a little bit here, a little bit there, and then you get a tax advantage from that, right? I think it's a very nice thing. All right. So thank you for all that. It will all go to Venerable Hong. OK，星期一見。
Thank you.
OK，拜拜，感恩大家。OK，拜拜。
Thank you. Bye bye. 感恩，保重。
OK, thanks everyone. Bye bye. Oh, Heidi says, yes, I sent newsletters to the incarcerated. My son has been incarcerated. He grew spiritually. Now it's better. This is really important. This is really important. When you bring peace and compassion to those who are incarcerated, not only it benefits the individual who are incarcerated, it benefits the family. It benefits the people who are also incarcerated, where there are fellow inmates or even the guards. It has tremendous influence. But also, the amount increases every year. And nowadays, it's $121,000 to lock somebody up. And 65% of those who are eventually released go back for one reason or another. And according to Venerable Hong, those who come for meditation, first of all, they get a better chance of getting released because it's easier for them to convince the board that they have understood their internal struggle. But also, they almost always never return. So by supporting someone like Venerable Hong, you're saving $121,000 per person after the release per year. Right? Anyway, thank you for all that. I'll see you all next week. Namaste.